Hi, this is Lynn Suzek, and this is Faith Talk. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm going to call this Healing Hangups because, again, in James, I think it's chapter 3, it talks about the tongue being the rudder of a ship, and it directs how our life goes. And you know, we're not chess pieces. God just making us do whatever we want. We have the ability to choose, and he says choose life. So we can choose badly, and we can choose, we just want to know, I mean, what's the wisest thing to do, how do I do it, and how to continue to function and help others. So as far as healing and other miraculous faith-filled actions, I feel that the biggest hang-up is our mouth. And I've done one before on spiritual truth, or what is truth. I did a blog written about that, and it's so big. It's a big thing. Okay, so Jesus, you know, at times said many things. I mean, he mostly was talking always spiritually, and that doesn't mean it's not true. You know what I mean? It's like, how carnal are we? If it's spiritual, it's not really true? No, we're supposed to be in the spiritual realm. It means those are real things that he's saying. Spiritual truths just don't. There's a difference between physically what's going on in front of you until it changes. And how does it change? Well, the physical changes by the spiritual laws. So, but one of the best things was, for instance, he said, she's not dead, she's only sleeping. And they laughed at him, they scorned him when he was raising a little girl from the dead. He had to keep his own mind tuned into the truth, which was, this doesn't have to stay this way. Lazarus, when he came to raise Lazarus from the dead, well, before he came, he said to the disciples, Lazarus sleeps, I'm going to go visit him. They said he was sick. And then he knew in the spirit, he had a spiritual word of knowledge by gift, that Lazarus sleeps, I think, he said. And they said, well, if he's sleeping, then he's going to get better. And he's like, it was, Lazarus is dead. So, you know, he made an exception for clarity to tell them Lazarus physically is dead, and I'm gonna go raise him from the dead. Or I don't know if he actually said that, but that's what he was doing. They went there. It's like, if he's dead, I mean, people go to comfort the family members, but you know, he was Jesus. So the difference between what we say, you know, because we have to operate on two different planes until they blend together, and what's true spiritually becomes true physically. So the hang-ups that we have, I mean, if we were speaking the truth about our physical truth spiritually, I mean, our spiritual truth, which is we're healed all the time, and speaking that way and not giving into the having to deal with things around us and speaking like we're not well, which is what we do mostly. I mean, I don't complain. I mean, I really hate hearing people talk about how unwell they are. That's just exacerbating your issue. That's really what you believe. Well, I am very, very well, and the only thing I want to see change is movement. And I just really don't believe I'm paralyzed. I believe It's a physical manifestation of something I believe that I was kind of talked into when I didn't know any better. It was an accident. It was definitely a spinal cord injury, but it didn't have to stay that way. It should have healed. And I feel that that's the case for everybody, that everything heals. God designed us that way. So when something doesn't heal from an injury, or when things get progressively worse, like certain diseases, they don't have to. The fact that some of them take 20 years, it just depends on the person's belief. And some of them go fast. And it's, so what we say, what we believe is everything. And so, Jesus didn't, give into the pressure, usually, except for that one time that I'm saying, of saying things that he knew would change, because he believed, he knew. If I say something in the direction I don't want to go, it's going to change. So, for instance, he came with a mission that nobody else had. He came with a mission to have a ministry and then to lay down his life for us. And he even said, nobody takes my life, I lay it down. So he didn't have to die ever. We don't have to die. I really believe we just need to understand we can live forever, physically, stay young, but we were around people that aren't doing that. It affects our ability to believe when we watch. Let's say you never got around older people and watched them pass away, you probably would stay younger looking. I think there's even studies that prove that. It's watching people ahead of you get older that causes you to start taking on and what you expect. So my direction in healing is I'm able to believe. I was able to believe for many things. One, I had 5 children. I mean, during my marriage with the father of my children, we had 5 children over 10 years of marriage. After our accident, we had an accident, and that's when, right on our honeymoon. So, oh geez, sorry about this bee just grabbing me. And then the doctors told me I could have children. If they would have told me I couldn't, I don't know what would have happened. But at that time, they said people have had children in your condition. So we went on to have, I did happen to get pregnant. And I had some issues during the pregnancy. I've had several different things, but my attitude was like, I've heard of another person having this attitude in the Bible. Yesterday I was listening to Curry Blake, and he said I wrote it down. Sorry, there's a bee here. Get away. Get away, get away, get away. Sorry. It was in 2 Kings chapter 4, where the woman that was given a child through prophecy, the child died, and she refused to say anything about it, even to her husband. And she went to the prophet, and even when he asked her, how is everything? How are you? How is your husband? How's the boy? She had laid him down in somewhere for the prophet to come and raise from the dead. And she said, all is well. Now that's another one. Okay, was all well? we really just love to, give into, well, now it's time to tell how things are not, how things are right now and how I want them to change. But faith is, you've got to be careful what you say, and she was believing ahead of time that all would be well, that he was going to do something, that he could, bring him back to light. Well, all she said was, "Did I ask you to give me a son? No. You prophesied over me. I got, I conceived, and I have a son." That's all she said to him. So he could perceive that something had happened to him by that. And I remember feeling that way when I was having children. I had an attitude, which apparently sometimes is faith. Sometimes it sounds negative and bold, almost like against God. But I mean, I had faith. God was, it's like at that time I thought he allowed me to have this accident and then allowed me to have children. And I was like, if you allowed me to have children, like if I'm pregnant, you're gonna have to take care of them. They're gonna, I was like, it's on you. And that's faith, even though it doesn't sound very good, but I was like, this is gonna happen. I didn't know, if I'm gonna go through pregnancy in this condition, I'm gonna have them, the birth, I just kind of like gave it to God in that way. So attitude isn't always bad. It's in the Bible, and that's faith. So I had faith that my children would be healthy and that the births would happen. And even though it was based on some skewed thinking, I did have faith. So the things that you believe for and strongly profess are going to happen. Okay? Thanks for listening. It's a little bit over time. Hope you got something out of this. See you next time.